All right, so we are going to do some straw weaving. Here's what the finished product looks like. People use it as a bracelet or as a headband or as a decoration on the wall. You'll need some straws, some warp strings, and some tape to get started. We're gonna start out with 4 straws. And then you need to take your warp strings. You need to start out with a little piece of tape. Now this tape is going to be temporary. So you don't need a real big piece, but you want 1 piece of tape per straw. Then you take your warp string and thread it through the straw. It helps if you hold the straw down and thread the yarn through that way. Then you take it and you bend it over. Then you use the piece of tape like a Band-Aid and wrap it around your yarn so that it is on there like that. You're going to do that with every straw. Okay, once your warp strings are ready, then you will take this, the opposite end from where the straws are, and tie the ends together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all 4 of the warp strings like they're one large string. I'm gonna wrap it around my hand and I'm gonna put this end through this loop. So we're just making a square knot with all 4 strings together. Okay, then once you have that tied, we are ready to start weaving. To get started weaving, you've got our warp strings. Now we're going to take our weft string. I'm going to use this multicolored yarn at first. Now you can, at any point, cut off the yarn that you are done using and switch colors. That's totally fine. To get started, you need to tie your weft to your straw on the left side. So we're gonna do that in a simple square knot through the loop and pull. I'm gonna double knot it. Through the loop and pull. Okay, so I've got a double knotted square knot there to start this. Now, you don't want this string, the weft, to fall off of the straws too early. You want to hold the straws kind of like a deck of cards so that they're all 4 together. And then you just start weaving in and out, in, around, and out, in, out, in. And then you just keep continuing that pattern of in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth the entire time. And eventually it'll go up to the top of the straws. And then you can push it down a little bit and keep going. The beginning is the hardest part. But as you kind of get started, it becomes much easier. Okay, when you get to the tape. You grab your straws at the top and you just sort of gently push it down. It'll start to fall off of the straw, but you don't want this whole thing to go off the straw. You want to leave a few on there. I usually keep about 5 or 6 layers of the weave always on the straws. And then you just begin again to bring it all the way up to the top. As you keep weaving, this part will trail all the way down until you get to the end of your knot. At the end of the first class with weaving, or before you get started, it's important to put your initials on one of your warp straws. So you're not going to put it on the plastic part, you're going to write it on the tape. We're going to have your initials on there so that you can find it next class. So let's say you have to stop weaving with the color of yarn that you're using for any reason. Maybe it's the end of class, maybe you want to switch colors. What you will do is you will cut your weft string, the yarn that you are weaving with, and if it's the end of class, you'll want to wrap the extra around so it doesn't untangle, and we'll continue next time. But if you are cutting it off to get a new color of yarn, you'll get your other yarn. I'm just going to keep the same one. And what you will do is you'll tie your new string to your old string to now make a new piece of string. Don't cut down all the way to the end of the knot. Leave a little bit left so it has room if you accidentally pull it. And now, with your new long string that you created, you can just continue weaving. When your weaving gets down to the end of your knot and there's no more room left, then it is time to take it off of your straw loom. So, what you want to do is this time, before we didn't want the weft strings to fall off of the loom. Now we do. So, at the end, just like you tied the beginning one on the straw, you want to tie the ending one on this straw too. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of this string off just so it's easier to work with. So I'm going to loop that around. I'm going to make a loop with my weft string that's going like around the straw. I'm going to put my weft string through that and pull, and I'll do that one more time. Once you have a little knot on there, cut off the extra, and we will pull the weft strings all the way off of the loom. Now you need to take your warp strings out of the straw. Now we have 4 strings here. Just like we tied these 4 together, we're going to tie these 4 together. I will act like My 4 strings are just one big string. Wrap it around a couple of my fingers. Put it through the loop. And pull. All right. And that is how you make a straw weaving.